The white sedan, reeking of blood and cigarettes, shot west into the setting sun. Squeezed into the back seat between a man with a gaudy necktie and a man wearing a loud shirt, a woman with long hair nodded in and out of consciousness. She wore torn jeans and a cheap yellow t-shirt. Her dirty hands flopped at her knees. When the car went over a bump, a wad of phlegmy blood fell from her mouth onto her chest. The two men looked increasingly uncomfortable with her. So did the young guy behind the wheel. At every traffic light, his eyes jumped in the rearview mirror. The sedan was trailing a black Ford, polished to a gleam. Light glanced off of the paint job. It was the sort of evening when the sunset burns. The glass towers of Shinjuku were tinted red, as if blood was streaming down the window panes. Eventually, the two cars pulled into a tranquil Setagaya neighborhood. Hard to believe that this idyllic setting was, like bustling Shinjuku, a part of Tokyo. A few turns later, the road ended at a gate set in a high stone wall. Chiseled blocks of fine white stone, stacked high in neat rows, topped off with accordion wire, keeping people out, or keeping something in. The cars stopped long enough for a cartoonishly large camera to notice them and activate the iron gate. Behind the walls was a sprawling mansion landscaped in the Japanese style. The cars followed a driveway paved in stone and parked by a small pagoda in a corner of the grounds. Out of nowhere, a crowd of men wearing white shirts and bright matching neckties surrounded the cars. Young guys with punished faces. The driver jumped out of the black Ford and opened the door to the back seat. Glossy black shoes touched the ground. A thin man dressed in black, like for a funeral, stepped from the car. His sunken cheeks and cauliflower ear stood out. When he tipped his chin, the back doors of the white sedan swung open, and the men inside began to extricate the woman. She was tall, not fat, but thick and muscular. The men were having a hard time moving her. They dropped her on the cobblestones. She rebounded from the impact, only to collapse flat on her stomach. "You alive?" asked the tall man in the black suit. The man in the loud shirt kicked the woman in the shins. She let out a sandy groan. Propped up on all fours, like a crocodile, she looked at them. Long hair, pasty with blood, stuck to her cheeks. More dark blood dribbled from her nostrils. The skin by her right eye was a bluish mound.